In this video, I'll show you how to manually install Joomla on a web server. If you don't already have hosting, I recommend using a host that has a CPanel interface. CPanel makes it easy to set things up for a Joomla site. The site I'll use for this course is hosted on HostGator. As you learned in the What is Joomla session, Joomla requires a database to store the website content. The first thing I'll do in the installation process is to create that database. Log into your CPanel account and go to the Databases section. Click MySQL Databases. You'll need to create a database and a user for that database. I generally make the database name and the username the same. That way, if I end up with several databases on the site, I can easily tell which user goes with which database. While there doesn't seem to be any limit to the length allowed for the database name, usernames can only be 9 characters, so I'll create a database name of 9 characters or less. I'll call this database Beginner since it's for the beginner course. Enter the name and click Create Database. Next, go to the MySQL Users section. The username and the database name don't have to be the same. You can create a user with any name you'd like, but I'll use Beginner again here. You need to assign a password for this user. This should be a secure password containing mixed case letters, numbers, and special characters. It's a good idea to use the automated password generator. You can click Generate Password again if you'd like to see a different one. Copy the password. You should save the information about your Joomla database, maybe along with your hosting and domain registration information. Save the password along with the database name and username. You'll need to use this information when we install Joomla. Check the I have copied this password box and click Use Password. The strength field will give you an indication of the security of your password. Click Create User. Now I have a database and a user. All I need to do is connect the two. In the Add User to Database section, I only have one user in one database. If you had multiple, you would select the appropriate one in each box and then click Add. Click this box to assign all privileges to this user and click Make Changes. Now we can see that the user Beginner has been assigned to the database Beginner. While I'm in CPanel, I'll check the PHP settings for this domain. Click php.ini easyconfig and click Enable easyconfig. Display errors should be set to off, as well as register globals. Save those changes. Next, I'll download the latest version of Joomla by going to joomla.org. Since 3.0 is in a beta version, in order to download it, I'll click the link here. Once the final version of Joomla 3.0 is released, you'll be able to download it from the large orange download button. Download and save the zip file. The next step is to upload the file to your web host. Go back to your hosting panel and click the File Manager. You'll need to decide where you want to install Joomla. The domain name for this site is teststuff.org. If I wanted the Joomla site to appear when I entered teststuff.org in the browser, I would upload the Joomla file into the public HTML folder. Another option is to install the site into a folder off of the main domain. This is a good way to develop a Joomla site while you have another site at the root level of the domain. I'll create a folder called Beginner30. Then I'll select that folder and click Upload. Select the Joomla zip file If you're comfortable using FTP software, you can use FTP to upload the file as well. You may see instructions on other sites that tell you to unzip the Joomla file after you download it. While you can do that, there are thousands of files in the Joomla installation. It's much faster to upload the single zip file and then extract it on your server. Once the upload is complete, select the file and click the Extract icon. I'll extract the files into the same folder, so I don't need to change that. Click Extract Files. Now we see all the Joomla folders and files. The next step is to run the installation program. Open a new browser tab and enter the URL for the location where you uploaded Joomla. In this case, since I uploaded it to a folder, I need to use the folder name in the URL. The installation program will start automatically. If you don't see the installation page, your site may not be using the correct version of PHP. Joomla 3.0 requires PHP 5.3.1 or higher. You can check your PHP version in the left column in CPanel. Click Expand Stats. This is showing 5.2, which is currently the default for this site. I was able to change it to 5.3 by adding a line to the .ht access file. If you don't have PHP 5.3, contact your web host and they will be able to make the changes for you so you can use the correct version. The first step is configuration. Enter the site name and description. Enter the administrator's email address. You should use something other than admin for your username in order to make your site more secure. You should also use a secure password for the login. If you're not good at coming up with passwords, there are several websites that will generate random passwords for you. I use this one called passwordsgenerator.net. Leave Site Offline set to No, which means our site will be online, and click Next. The second step is the database configuration. This is where you'll need the details of the database that we set up earlier. In this case, the database type is MySQL without the I. Hostname is localhost. The username, password, and database name can be copied and pasted from the information I saved earlier during the database setup. In this case, the username and the database name were the same. Another technique to make your site more secure is to use a random table prefix. In this version, Joomla automatically creates a random prefix, so I'll leave this setting as it is. If I had an old database, I could choose to have it backed up or removed. In this case, I don't, so Joomla will disregard this option. Click Next again. The final step is the overview. In previous versions, you could select whether you wanted to install sample data or not. Now you can also choose from different types of data. I'll try the blog English sample data. Another new option is the ability to email a copy of the configuration settings to the admin email address. That's handy for documentation purposes. Now click Install. After installing Joomla, it's important to remove the installation folder. Joomla will now do this for you. Click Remove Installation Folder. The folder was successfully removed. The page displays links to the visitor or public side of your website, as well as the administrator side. It's also common to call those the front end and the back end of a Joomla site. I'll give you an overview of each in the next two sessions.